This company creates SHROOMS-Infused coffee. Now, it was created by a group of former Starbucks executives, so I expect they know a few things about coffee. They're doing this through a regulation crowdfunding offering. This means that they are actually offering real equity shares in the company, not just gifts. They're able to do this by filing what's called a Form C with the SEC. A Form C allows you to raise money from the public without going public. It's one of 2 or 3 ways to do this, that you can raise money from anyone without actually going public. The good thing about the Form C is it includes certain disclosures, financial disclosures, management risk disclosures, names of the advisors of the company, which in this case includes former Starbucks executives. The founder is also a former Starbucks executive, and breaks down the financial state of the company. Basically, the SEC wants you to have all the documents you will need to make a wise decision about this investment. Let's go through the Form C. My job here would be to break down some of the legal terms there so that if you're interested in doing this as an investment, you understand what you're getting yourself into. If you're only interested in this from a startup point of view, to understand the strategy they're using, the marketing, distribution, manufacturing strategy, so that to help you in your own startup journey as well, then this is another great place to start. So let's get started. Their actual website is here. This is the website. And the video you're seeing here is for one of their products that is added to coffee. It's not the coffee itself. They call it brainwash. And it has adaptogenic powder. That's basically powder that helps to relieve stress and other things in your body. So if you read their page, they have a lot of information about this. So let's scroll on to what we're actually interested in, which is the company itself. So if you click this invest in Wunderground, you see that they have raised $363,000 so far, and there's 3 days left in the investment itself. So let's take a look at the product itself. They have a video here that describes what the product is. Now, if you read down here, you see that they make different things. They make coffee and beverages. And right now they are targeting office break rooms, which we'll get into a bit later. But let's find out more about the company and its founders first, and the product as well, before we go down to their business strategy. So let's play this video, and we will I'll break through in the middle of it and break down a bunch of stuff with it if there's anything interesting there. This, of course, is their standard crowdfunding video. Most crowdfunding companies have this. So let's go through it.
My name's Jody Hall, and I'm the founder of Wunderground. Wunderground is a Seattle-based coffee company. We are essentially creating coffee 2.0. We're basically taking the most ritualistic beverage in the world, coffee, adding wellness to it through potent adaptogenic mushrooms to help us feel and perform better. In 2023, we will have grown by 70%. And while that's cool, the big news is that we are launching Wunderground in some of the top tech company offices around the country from inbound requests. This is not just a massive revenue.
I just want to say 70% of nothing is still nothing. So it depends on what revenue they had the year before to know whether this is a big deal or not. If they had 0 before and they have 70% of 0 or 70% of $1, it's not much either.
Revenue opportunity, it's a huge marketing opportunity too. So we're raising money to fuel this incredible demand. And I'm especially excited to open this investment up to everyone via crowdfunding to own a piece of Wunderground at this early stage.
We really wanted to create something that anybody could have every day. We don't want it to taste like mushrooms. We want it to taste just like the great cup of coffee that you're used to.
First mushroom coffee. What do you think? That is really good.
That's really smooth.
I like it. Yeah, it tastes like it has much. I have to say, yeah. We're winning prizes for best tasting mushroom coffee. People try it and they're like, what do you mean mushroom? This just tastes delicious. While our mushrooms are not psilocybin or psychoactive, they are magic in a lot of ways. We start with organic fruiting body mushrooms.
So they're not psychedelic mushrooms, they're adaptogenic mushrooms, for those who are wondering, and we're looking forward to the hire. Just saying.
We extract them in a highly concentrated way. We have figured out how to infuse whole bean coffee with these extracts. So we have brainchild with lion's mane and cordyceps. So it really helps us focus. It gives us energy and stamina. Another one of our products is called Hocus Pocus, a coffee that has just beautiful chocolate and floral notes. Hocus Pocus has chaga, and it has...
So at this point, there's a lot of coffee in the market. And from the research I did, there's a lot of shrooms-infused coffee as well. So the real question is, what makes this guys very unique? Like, the video is very entertaining and it's very, very captivating, and it makes me want to try the coffee, but does it make me want to go the extra mile to actually buy their specific coffee? Because coffee at this point, everybody and even YouTubers now have their own coffee companies. It's not as much of a big deal as it used to be.
As reishi to bring a sense of calm, help to uplift mood, and it's such a good cup of coffee. We wanted to also think about people who don't want coffee, and we'll be expanding our tea line. And then the last product we have is called Brainwash. So Brainwash is a product that is really meant to pair, ideally with espresso drinks that have milk in it, latte, mocha, chai, that type of thing. It's a scrub-a-dub for your noggin. So we put all the mushrooms in Brainwash.
All of these, in a way, are considered superfood mushrooms because of the potent array of health benefits that they offer. Adaptogens have this wonderful ability to help our bodies come back to balance as well as to resist the stress.
Our team combined has more than 10 decades, 100 years of experience in craft coffee, starting at Starbucks to independents and micro roasters that you know and love across the country.
Weirdos, creatives, and 100% awesome people. Like some of the best people in the field. Understanding
Crazy
coffee,
ones.
understanding how you do this with mushrooms, all the science behind it. I would boil it down to three things in particular. The people, the product itself, mushrooms, all the science behind it. I would boil it down to...
See, this guy apparently was the former president of Starbucks. Again, these guys should know coffee.
Three things in particular. The people, the product itself, and then finally the potential. I think the potential is enormous. I'm excited to be part of it, and that's why I chose to invest.
We're really excited about this white space that we believe we're perfectly positioned to fill. First, mushrooms are a superfood that the West is waking up to. Two, health and wellness are a luxury. It's the new wealth. Stress and anxiety are at an all-time high, and work is being redefined. Wunderground sits right in the middle of this convergence. So we started as a direct-to-consumer e-commerce company. We launched retail. We've had inbound 6 giant tech companies reaching out to us to bring Wunderground to offices through food service. And as we look to grow, we really see this as an innovative go-to-market strategy. We get our product out there, there's a revenue opportunity, and there's an opportunity in a genuine way to grow our business by converting those people who have experienced our brand in these settings into direct-to-consumer. Outside of having these tech companies reach out to us, one of the most exciting things that happened, we were chosen out of 50 other companies to have a long-term pop-up at Seattle International Airport, rated one of the best airports in North America. Seattle is the birthplace of coffee as we know it in a lot of ways, right? We're in front of over 20,000 people a day. We are sampling about 300 or 400 cups of coffee a day. Not only are we creating an innovative product, we're doing it in a very innovative way. According to Yahoo Finance, the mushroom coffee market is expected to hit over $4 billion by 2030. I want other people to participate because I know I'm going to deliver. My track record, first 2 companies, and my experience at Starbucks is batting 1,000. Help us grow our brand and expand our footprint. Invest in Wunderground today.
So from the video only, from the description from the video alone and the product itself, there isn't much here that gets me excited personally. Now let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. But it's a coffee company. But again, people would have said that about Starbucks, right? So it depends in this case about how they go to market. their strategy, the experience that they offer more so than just the coffee itself, because at this point there are many popular coffee companies, including Starbucks itself. So let's scroll down. She mentioned something about her previous companies. It would be interesting if they include that in the Form C, because it would give more confidence as to what they can actually do. All right, so she mentions here that top global companies expected to drive 4 to 5x 2023 revenue. Now we'll see in the Form C that this will total just about $16 million, which, to give you perspective, when venture capitalists invest in companies, what they're looking for is like 100x return on their money. Of course, one method of going to market is not going to bring in all the revenue you will ever have in the company. Companies change different approaches to the market as they grow. So when they start out, they may try something that's less scalable, and then over time they create more scalable marketing strategies and grow from there. They're not required to have everything figured out at this point, but this is not very good bragging rights. Now, from my understanding, they're raising money from this form, from this regulation CF, to meet the demand from these tech companies. So to meet that $600,000, $6 million, $16 million target. And from what I'm seeing here, if their max is 750, which we'll get to shortly, then 750 turning into 16 million is a pretty good deal, right? So let's all this is business stuff that you can find. So let's instead delve into the Form C. So this is her today, and this is her with Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz from a couple of years ago, 1998 to be exact. So she was there when the company was growing, which is a very big plus, right? It means that she's not just an executive that can manage a company at a large level. She's a company that can help it grow. And you need different kinds of executives at those different levels. Let's take a look at the Form C then. Now, the way you get to the Form C is you come to the SEC's website and you simply search for the name of the company. So I'll include a link to the SEC's website in the description if you're interested. And then what you want to do is when you get here, you'll see a couple of different documents. Now, the initial filing document will be this one, is the C offering statement. This was filed in November 2023. When you look up, you see that there's a CA. CA means amendment statement. So you want to take a look at this CA as well. So this is the amendment and this is the exhibit for this EX here. The amendments sometimes include material terms that have changed. So the company may change something very significant, and if they do, then they're required to file one of these amendments. And when they file the amendment, they have to state whether or not the amendment is critical, because it may actually just also change something very slight. So in this case, we're going to take a look. Let's see, there's an amendment here. There's only one amendment, so let's take a look. If we click on the amendment statement, and we should see open filing. So we see here that the only thing they changed, written up here, is the only change to this Form C filing is the new end date of the offering, which has been extended to April 28th, 2024. So all they did was change the date that the offering is going to end. And so let's exit this and go to the initial one, which I've opened here. So you see Form C, offering statement. From CA is amendments to the statement. CU is the progress update. And the AR is the annual report. They haven't filed an annual report yet because it's not been up to a year. All right, so let's take a look at this. Now, the first thing I want you to see here is that the actual entity that is offering this is called Better Science LLC. It's not called Wunderground. And you see them here to the name of issuers, Better Science. So the company will end up owning shares or any kind of other security like a convertible note, in this case, would be Better Science LLC, not a company called Wunderground. Now, don't confuse that with the fact that the co-issuer, if you scroll down here, is Wunderground Coffee CF SPV LLC. Why is this? If you think about it, if you have 100 people trying to invest in your company. If you try to follow each one individually, to get 100 different people onboarded in your company, get all their signatures, get everything all at once, it can get very messy. So what some companies do is they create what's called a special purpose vehicle, an SPV. And all it is really is just a fancy name for a company whose only job is to hold shares. This is usually either a limited partnership or an LLC. The company will create this LLC, like in this case, Wunderground Coffee CF SPV LLC. They'll create the LLC and then use the LLC so that there's only one entity buying shares from there. So you as an investor at this level, when you're investing, you're actually buying the shares or units of the LLC directly, this Wunderground LLC directly. That's what you're buying. That Wunderground LLC will then take all that money from all 100 investors or more and then invest that money into Better Science, which is the company that makes the coffee. So it's cleaner for the company that makes the coffee to manage just one person investing in them than it is 100 people, right? And so if they want to manage anything else that has to do with those specific investors, then they'll manage that SPV itself instead of the whole company. And also think about it that in future rounds, they are raising more money. If they need to differentiate the money they raised, the shares that they sold to you when they raised through the crowdfunding, then they can manage just one document instead of 100 documents. And then if they want to manage investment from another round, maybe from a venture capitalist, they can focus on that specific document instead of having to kind of like figure out who raised during the crowdfunding, who raised during the venture capital investment. It's cleaner for them to do it this way. So is there anything else interesting? The company was organized in 2019. They are based out of Washington, and this is the address. Let's scroll down, and the SPV shares the same address with the company itself, right? Pike Street. This is all SEC registration numbers here, and they don't have a CRD number. The escrow agent, so the company that holds the money in the meantime, is Enterprise Bank and Trust. Let's scroll down, and the intermediary is going to hold 7%. The intermediary in this case, I think, is risecrowdfunding.com, riseupcrowdfunding.com, because they are the company that they're offering these shares through. This is required by the SEC actually, so they can't just offer you the shares directly if they're crowdfunding. They have to go through another crowdfunding platform to offer you those shares. So the platform they're going through is Rise Up Crowdfunding, and they are going to give them 7% of whatever they raise here off the bat. It says here that they're also going to give them 1% of the total number of securities sold. So the number of shares they're going to sell at the end when this closes, they're going to give 1% to the intermediary. Now, by the way, this is closing in 3 days from now, April 28th. Today is April 25th. So if you're interested in this, then you need to get to this quickly. So let's scroll down. The price per share is $10. They're targeting 25,000 shares to sell at the minimum, right? So they're seeking to raise at a minimum 25 grand. They take over subscriptions, and the maximum they'll raise is 750 grand. The deadline initially was April 8th, and in that amendment that we saw, they simply changed that to April 28th. Five employees at Better Science LLC. That's the current number of employees. There are also 11 employees at Wunderground Retail Hill LLC, wholly owned subsidiary of Better Science LLC, that operates our cafe in Seattle and the store at SeaTac Airport. They have one cafe in Seattle, and they have the store at SeaTac, which is the store she mentioned in the video. If you have tasted their coffee, please include a comment in the comment section to give people an understanding of what the coffee tastes like. It's going to be difficult for someone to read it and understand it, but did you enjoy it? Was there anything unique about it? Would you go back? Do you look forward to going there when you're at SeaTac or when you're in Seattle? All that will be important for those who haven't actually tasted the coffee. Now here you have their financials, right? So for Better Science LLC, which is the company that you will be getting actual shares in, they have 2022 and 2021 finances here, and they have September finances for Wunderground Coffee SPV. Now, by the way, yeah, the cafe is owned by a separate entity called Wunderground Retail Hill LLC. Total assets, 1.337 million in 2022, down from 2021 here. They have 235,000 in cash, 11,000 account receivables, which is good. Long-term debt, 4.38 million. Wow, that's bad. Revenue, sales, $800,000 in revenue for that year alone. Okay, that's pretty good. Cost of goods sold, 600 grand, and taxes 0 because they've been running in a loss, it seems. And then net income, 1.29 million. And for the SPV, of course, it will have 000 here because they just created the SPV, and its only job really is to hold your money and then also your shares afterwards. Your shares in Better Science after they invest, that's it. So it won't have any operating income or expenses. From this statement, they're offering in all 50 states. They're offering the security in all 50 states. And that's also required by the SEC to make clear what states they're making these offerings in. And so they also include the standard offering disclosures here, rather disclaimers. They're saying that this is not registered with the SEC or with any states. So it's kind of like buyers beware. This has not been registered, it has not been reviewed by the SEC, so you're buying at your own risk. And this one is just Jody Hall, the manager, stating that they have complied with everything SEC related, so that's not important. Let's scroll down. Section 4A6 is the regulation crowdfunding source law. From there, you have regulation crowdfunding itself, which was then created by the SEC under this section 4A6. Let's scroll down a little more, and offering statement. Okay, so we get to the interesting part. So they're offering up to $750,000 in membership units, which is the equivalent of shares for LLCs in the SPV, and then the SPV will then invest in Better Science LLC. And the minimum target is $25,000, but the maximum is $750,000. And this, they're telling you that there's risk involved in the investment, and you may not get anything in return at the end of the day, right? Because startups tend to go bankrupt quite often. And so let's scroll down a bit and see the terms. So membership units in the SPV is what you get, again, for $10 a pop. And they're repeating everything here again. Offering minimum, offering maximum, membership units, purchase price of security offer $10. Anywhere you see membership units, it's shares basically. So they put it in brackets. It's not technically shares, but it's shares. It's shares, but for LLCs. And what they're offering here is a convertible note. So what's a convertible note? A convertible note is kind of like a loan that can convert into shares. So here they're using a convertible note. Now, what does that mean for you? What that means is that when you invest in the SPV and the SPV is using its money to then buy shares from the company, they won't actually be buying shares. What they'll be buying is a convertible note. So they'll buy the convertible note and hold the convertible note. And then sometime in the future, the convertible note will then transform or be converted into shares. Let me know if you have any questions on that, by the way, in the comment section. All right. So they're doing a convertible note here, and it will be used to purchase a convertible note on a dollar-for-dollar basis in Better Science LLC. And they've attached a form of note in Exhibit H. All right, so let's go down to Exhibit H and see what that looks like. And so this is what the convertible note looks like, right? It says the convertible note purchase agreement is entered into on behalf of, this will be the SPV, and Better Science LLC, or Washington LLC. And then it's gonna state all the terms of the agreement. This is definitions here. See the maturity date here, 30th month. So that's about a little over 2 years, 2.5 years or so. And then qualified financing units, scroll down, loan terms. So you say it's a loan. You're loaning them money. And then by the maturity date, payable at request of major at any time on or after the maturity date. And then see here, it can convert into shares. Shall automatically convert in a number of equivalent units as determined by dividing each outstanding balance by the conversion price. So this is what the note is going to look like at the end, or substantially look like this. And Better Science will sign, and then the company will sign as well. The SPV will sign as well. All right, so let's go back to where we were before. So here they describe the terms of the terms of the agreement. Let's scroll down. The interest rate is 4% per year. And then this has the same trigger that a SAFE does. That means that if they do an equity round before the maturity date, then the note is going to convert into the maturity date. And usually it takes a company that's growing, it's going to take them a lot less than 2.5 years to raise money. So the chances that this converts into actual shares in the company is very high. But the idea is that if it doesn't, then they'll pay the money back, kind of, which is a good deal. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but it's a good deal. Because what tends to happen is if they're going bankrupt, then there's nothing you can do, right? It's a loan. There's nothing much you can do. So it doesn't really help that they're willing to pay it back. The company and its business. All right, so let's talk about the company itself. And by the way, if you have any questions about this, about the convertible notes, about anything else, leave a comment in the comment section and I'll be happy to respond to help you understand this better. So let's scroll down. The company and its business. Better Science is a United States-based company that manufactures and sells coffee and teas and has the adaptogenic mushroom extracts to help people feel better. Coffee 2.0, they want to sound like a tech company. And then they say that the SPV, like we mentioned before, is going to invest directly in the company. This is formed in Delaware, and it was created specifically for the crowdfunding. Now, by the way, regulation crowdfunding typically cannot be used by SPVs. The reason is SPVs are typically used by venture capital firms to invest in other companies. And the SEC was trying to avoid that happening, right? Because there are other exemptions that SPVs tend to use and venture capitalists use. But they realized that it's just cleaner for them to do it this way. Many companies found it's cleaner for them to use SPVs to raise money. So the SEC actually amended their rules to allow special SPVs, specific kinds of SPVs that they call crowdfunding vehicles, to collect the funds from the investors and invest into the company rather than having the company have to do it directly, have to collect money from investors directly. And then here we see that they have two distinct coffee blends, Brainchild for cognitive function and Hocus Pocus, which she mentioned in the video as well. And then for those who prefer tea, they have Dream Supply tea. So they have basically two products, right? Three, if you include the tea. Coffee and mushrooms, daily rituals. Powerful concentrates of superfood adaptogenic mushrooms are combined with obsessively sourced and roasted coffee, bringing wellness without compromising taste. Okay. They pledge to give 5% of profits to innovative treatments that positively impact mental health crises that young adults are facing. So there's an added benefit to investing with them, is that they'll take 5% of the money they make and give it to innovative treatments. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean research? Does that mean actual treatments that already exist? Does that mean they will give it to the company that makes those treatments so that they can give it to people for free? It doesn't really say, but the idea they're trying to give here is that you'll be doing good by investing in them, 5%. Now, up to this point, I don't have any strong reactions as to whether this is a good investment off the top. Because, again, the product itself is not that powerful. It's, at this point, almost a commodity. It's coffee. So let's start from there. Then, as an investor that's doing this over the internet, there isn't any strong bond with the product because I can't taste it. Now, if you had more than 3 days, maybe I could order it online and have it get to my home and then I'll taste it. But is it worth the trouble for coffee? So there has to be something that hypes me for the investment before I take all those extra steps in the real world. If not, I'm just not going to do it. And I think they're trying to do that with the fact that they are Starbucks executives. Is that enough, though? We use 4 adaptogenic mushrooms in our products: chaga, cordyceps, reishi, and lion's mane. What the hell is chaga? So they say it boosts energy, fights fatigue from adrenal overload, and helps maintain healthy gut. Let's see what that looks like. Chaga mushrooms. Okay, this is it. And this lady says it eats trees and saves humans. Okay. And you can see that there are other chaga infused capsules. This looks like coffee as well, or some other kind of powder. And so it's not a novel thing. It's something that's been used. All right, that's chaga. Cordyceps. What's that? Cordyceps mushrooms. This is what that looks like. And some of it is made in the lab. It's also have anti-aging and exercise performance benefits. So is this geared towards more to the older crowd? Maybe. But their video had a lot of young people and they say tech startups. So let's see reishi. What's that? Reishi mushroom. Yeah, this looks like what I'd imagine a mushroom look like in my head, especially those that grow on trees. Yep, has the shape and everything. All right, so enough of the mushrooms. We're hardcore coffee snobs. That's good for you. We only wanted to create our coffee 2.0 if we could accomplish 2 things. The coffee needs to taste great and also make you feel great. Both of our competitors' products don't taste very good, so we need our coffee to taste as good as the best micro roasters. We're obsessed over this, playing with the roast level and curve. So this is where the Starbucks coffee magic comes in. Specific origins to dial in great taste while eliminating bitter notes of mushrooms. Extra to deliver excellence in every cup. That's wonderful for you. We've given out more than 30,000 samples at our Seattle Tacoma Airport, just samples. And the feedback we get is that people can't believe there are mushrooms in our delicious cup of coffee. Yeah, but you need the fact that there are mushrooms in it to sell it, because if not, why will I taste your coffee? Wunderground was heralded as the best tasting mushroom coffee by Gear Patrol. What the hell is that? The best way for us measuring our measuring our taste is through customer reviews. With almost 90% of our hundreds of reviews being 5-star ratings, we're confident we've nailed it. In addition, we want you to feel the benefits of those potent superfoods. So it's imperative that we provide a high enough quality and concentration of mushrooms so that our customers really do feel the difference. Less stress, fewer jitters. Yeah, the jitters thing is a big thing because when I was in college, I used to down like 7 cups of coffee in 2 hours, and or rather during my study session, and yeah, my eyes start twitching as if I'm high on something. And better health. Each serving is typically more than a typical supplement dose with benefits of 4.5 g per serving of organic fruiting body mushrooms. So what have they innovated in? We figured out how to infuse the whole bean coffee with mushroom extracts. It's part of our trade secret and something that differentiates us. Being able to offer whole bean coffee opens up a market that we believe our competitors can't reach. At-home coffee geeks want to control the grind of their coffee, but also want the health benefits that mushrooms provide. And that's a very subsect of people. Until today, I didn't even know coffee could have mushrooms in it, right? So to have a subset of people who are that excited about coffee, but also who want benefits from health benefits from mushrooms, seems like a very, very, very tiny subsect of people, maybe restricted to certain cities like San Francisco, Seattle, and other tech hubs, New York maybe. But will this apply to the average person? I drink a lot of coffee, but am I excited to try this? No. But again, as you can tell from my weight, am I a health geek? No as well. So let me add to it. So we initially launched as a DTC company. Now this is where I found some good insight in what they were trying to do because of their strategy to launch. Now, I read a bunch of this, not just for the legal stuff, but also for the startup stuff, because building a company is difficult. Learning how other companies do it is a big advantage. So here we see that they started with the DTC strategy, direct to consumer. You open a website, you sell either through Shopify or other means. But then soon afterwards, soon after launch, they heard from 6 of the top tech companies who wanted to bring Wunderground into their offices. So tech companies reached out and said, we like your coffee and we want to bring it in. Premium amenities are top of mind for these organizations. So they're thinking about attracting workers back to the office, employee retention, mental health benefits for their teams. On average, these tech companies have 500 kitchenettes, right? So we don't know how many reached out to them, but they're saying that on average, tech companies have about 500 kitchenettes at their headquarters alone. Okay. This is where they brew coffee and feature coolers full of ready-to-drink beverages for employees, and they reached out to us wanting Wunderground. So is it the companies that have up to 500 employees that reached out to them? Or are they saying that on average, tech companies, okay, so maybe, no, they said at their headquarters alone. So maybe it's the specific tech companies that reached out to them that have about 500 kitchenettes. The unique opportunity feels as though it was made for us. None of our competitors are positioned in this space, and we've already built the right supply chains, manufacturing processes, and have the inside relationships, which is important. We have already launched Filter Coffee and our Brainwash Latte booster in 2 of these global tech company headquarters, and we're actively expanding the opportunity. Excuse me. Our founders have done this before and have built the company for this type of opportunity. The visibility we get at these tech companies' kitchenettes, led by Aramark, Compass Foods, and others, help us build brand trial and awareness. I think Aramark also does colleges as well, 1 cup at a time, rather than focusing on high levels of media spending in an environment where customer acquisition cost is astronomically high. This is true. DTC used to be the best way to go to market because it was you on the consumer. You used social media and you marketed, and it was supposed to be cheaper. Unfortunately, now the cost of social media marketing has become high. So if you're using a DTC strategy, especially if you're using social media to market, it can get really expensive really quickly. So they're correct that if you can find a way around that, it's good. That's why companies like MVMT Watches, Dollar Shave Club, if you go into stores now, you can find them there because, yes, they do direct to consumer, but it just became so expensive to market via Facebook and Twitter and other social media that the cost just wasn't worth it anymore. Our team. So what they're saying is all right, let's finish this first. And we already know through our retail locations that once people try Wunderground, they love it. Once enough demand is built up, we plan to launch grocery and big box retail products, which is good. They're trying to build up demand first before they then launch in those stores, right? Instead of kind of gambling it. Now, so really the opportunity you're investing in at this point is that there's a bunch of tech companies that want their products, right? And down here somewhere we'll see that they estimate that the income that will come will be about $16 million from it. And so if they take the 300 grand that they've raised so far, so let's say by the end of this they raise about 500 or 400,000, and they're able to convert that into the 16 million, then there's a return. But again, these shares, there's no secondary market. Don't forget that. These are restricted shares, so you have to hold them for a long time. So even if they succeed with this 16 million, it may take them to the next level where a venture capitalist may want to invest. But is there a way for you to get value out of that 16 million that they make? The chances are very slim that there will be any. So that you'll be able to get your money out or get any advantage from it. So let's go to the teams. Our success is driven by a team of passionate experts with decades of experience in the coffee industry. It's good. Our coffee expertise is unparalleled, with key members having spent years at Starbucks, Stumptown. What is Stumptown? Verve? Isn't that a credit card company? And others, mastering the art of sourcing, roasting, and flavor development. Verve. Is there a Verve coffee store? Apparently there is. Bulletproof is really good. I've tried their coffee. It's really good. But I didn't know anything about Verve, so. All right. So let's go back here. Wunderground founder and CEO Jody Hall is a 3-time entrepreneur and brings 10 years of experience in operations and marketing. Our Starbucks during their growth stage, very, very important, during their growth stage. She was there from 1989 to 2000. So we can see she lasted long there. She cherry-picked an incredible team along with investors and advisors, many coming from C-level leadership from Starbucks. So this really is the reason why you'd invest, right? It's that she should know what she's doing. The team is very important to startups because you can have a great idea, but if the execution, there's a lot of challenges you'll face along the way. And if you have somebody who has done it already, the risks are reduced because they will know how to react to a lot of them. And they'll have the contacts that they could use to react to a lot of those challenges. So the team here is probably what they're selling more so than the coffee itself. Wunderground's co-founding advisor and head formulator, Hannah Sue, brings 23 years of R&D at Starbucks Coffee, which is good. She built the bottled Frappuccino product and commercialized Starbucks via instant coffee. See, I don't drink the bottled Frappuccino. Our head of operations, Jason Sawicki, has a long history of building roasteries, managing supply chains, quality, and innovation. So they have a competent team. Some of our other key investors and advisors include Howard Behar, former Chief Operations Officer at Starbucks, important. Mary Wagner, former Chief of R&D at Starbucks. Craig Russell, former SVP at Starbucks for supply chains. Jim Ailing, former President of Starbucks North America. Eric Host, former VP of Stumptown Coffee. Brian Lovejoy, former GM Innovation at Calafia. I don't know what that is. Mike McCready of Pearl Jam. What the hell is Pearl Jam? It's a band. Mike McCready. So what's that guy there for? Marketing? Brian Lovejoy, a former GM Innovation at Calafia. And what's Calafia? All right. So we have a medical board advisor as well, Dr. R.T. Chandra. The market. Coffee is the second most traded commodity in the world. It's the most ritualistic beverage in the world. Our goal is to create Coffee 2.0 that adds wellness to your everyday routine. There's a lot of momentum in this space. There's a lot of coffee companies as well. The US coffee market is $27.6 billion in 2023. That's true, but your former company Starbucks is taking most of that. Expected to go to $32 billion. The US functional mushroom market was $15.3 billion. So what they need is people that do both, which, I mean, at $15 billion, they'll probably find a lot that also drink a bunch of Starbucks. The US functional mushroom coffee market was at $523 million in 2023 and is expected to grow to $786 in 2030. That's 5% growth in 7 years. That's not a lot. Competition. First and foremost, we believe Wunderground is the best tasting option among all competitors. I'd feel the same way too if it was my company. Additionally, we're going to market in a very different way from our competitors. Competitors are focused on, okay, I skipped this, but I think it's important. We feel our competitors lack the coffee background, R&D sophistication, and ability to work with roast and varietals to mask the off-putting flavors mushrooms can add. So this means that a typical mushroom coffee doesn't taste very good, but they are guaranteeing, or at the very least, have figured out a way to make mushroom coffee that's not off-putting. So if they can market it to the same $530 million market that already exists, then maybe this market will prefer, or a lot of the market may prefer their coffee to their competitors' coffee. Now, additionally, we're going to market in a very different way from our competitors. Competitors are focused on direct-to-consumer strategies. While these are typical channels for almost everyone, both are increasingly tough to break through and expensive to scale. While Wunderground has DTC, it's not our main channel to scale. Instead, because of inbound requests from top global tech companies, Wunderground is leaning into these market forces and is scaling in this food service channel. This channel's focus is selling our coffee and our ready-to-drink Super Boost Oat Latte for break rooms in top global tech companies to begin. We do this through food service companies such as Compass USA, the global leader in this space. We're also in discussions with major airlines, universities, and music events. The innovation here is around Wunderground meeting these cultural moments around health and wellness are paramount. Mushrooms recognized as superfood, mental health epidemic, and work habits have changed. Again, so they're focused on this small market in San Francisco, Seattle, New York, Boston. These small markets with wealthier clients, maybe younger clients as well, tech companies specifically. And that's where they see their go-to-market strategy that will be less expensive than marketing direct to consumer. That's fair. It's fair for a start. But would you get that 100x return at the end of the day? That's a different thing. You could if they start going into grocery stores, because then you could get a return. You would reach a larger audience, right? Like that same young hippie audience would also exist in Whole Foods, would also exist in other high-end grocery stores as well. Wunderground is locally positioned in the center of these trends and changes and uniquely services the need of this moment without competition. This market is massive and a complete greenfield opportunity for us. And we believe we're uniquely suited to capitalize on this opportunity with our coffee-savvy leadership and our capabilities to scale manufacturing and distribution strategies. So traction to date. Okay, so let's see. How big are they now? What have they actually done till today to give you confidence that moving forward they can deliver? Because right now, I personally am kind of in the middle. They have great advantage in terms of their team, but I'm not sold on the coffee because I'm just not the target audience for the coffee. I'm hugely interested in tech, and I love coffee, including coffee that most other people don't drink. But this is the first time I've heard about mushrooms coffee, and I'm not excited about it. So let's see. So a few dates on our traction timeline include April 2023, Brainchild Whole Bean Infused Coffee was launched, leveraging the company's proprietary methodology of infusing whole coffee beans with concentrated mushroom extract. This product received a warm welcome from coffee geeks who wanted to control the grind of their beans, but also wanted the health benefits provided by mushrooms. So there's a specific subsect of people who love coffee so much that they go to this extreme, right? So this wouldn't be the average consumer. This is not bad. A lot of times for startups, the best way to grow is to find people who are so passionate about the product that you produce that they're willing to do more than the regular person. So these are the early adopters. These are maybe even before early adopters. These are the people who would try something that's crap, but it gives them a unique edge over the rest of the market. They have something to share with other enthusiasts, news to share, to relay, new ideas that nobody else has. These are typically the best people because they talk a lot, they spill, so they meet and they want to share. And because they're sharing, they're also sharing your product, which means your product can grow. So it's not a bad thing at all. It's actually an advantage that they found that group of people. Wunderground was selected from over 50 applicants to have a retail space at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, the 8th largest airport in North America. I don't think I've flown through Seattle before, but if I do, I'll definitely stop by and taste the coffee. And if you have, leave a comment in the comment section. Or if you live in Seattle, go over there and just buy a cup, taste, take a picture, send it to me, what it looks like, and let me know what it tastes like. 6 tech companies show inbound interest in bringing Wunderground to their campuses as part of return to work initiatives. Okay, so we have 6 tech companies then, right? And these are the 6 that I'm guessing have up to 500 kitchenettes. Brainwash was brought to market. The company's powdered adaptogenic mushroom super booster with off-the-charts popularity at its Seattle cafe. Off the charts. Brainwash was brought to market, was brought to market. The company's powdered adaptogenic mushroom super booster powder. So I'm guessing that that's this guy we see here. Yeah, this guy. Contains all the mushrooms that they have at Wunderground, and it can be added to any drink, tea, espresso, or smoothie. Esteemed roasters also feature this product in their cafes and distributed or roaster accounts, including Puff Coffee in Portland, founded by the Stormtown founder Dwayne Sorensen, and Ecuador Coffee in the Bay Area and LA areas of California. We have exciting plans on the horizon, including the launch of our Brainwash Super Boost Oat Latte in ready-to-drink format in January 2024. Targeting beverage coolers at tech companies, airlines, and music festivals. This expansion requires funding to support sustainable packaging and further innovation. Okay. Again, I've not tasted this, so I don't know how it would do with others. Part of believing would be tasting the product. Litigation. The company and co-issuers know of no litigation pending or threatening to which Wunderground or Wunderground SPV is subject or may be party, which it believes would have material adverse effect on the company and co-issuer or their business, and no such proceedings are known to be contemplated by government authorities or other parties. This is required for them to just let you know if they're getting sued by anyone at this point. So the team, so we start with Jody Hall, a visionary and mission-driven entrepreneur. Jody Hall has always been inspired by human connection and a thread through all companies she's founded. Her career started in 1989 in the early days at Starbucks as one of the first hires in marketing to open new stores and markets and build the brand one cup at a time. So let's see when Starbucks was launched. Starbucks launched 1971. So Starbucks was launched in 1971, and she joined Starbucks 1989. So a good, more than 10 years later, a good almost 20 years later. But she was just one of the first hires specifically in marketing. The advantage to that is she's a marketer and she knows how to grow companies. So that advantage will show up in this case as well. Via events. So after 10 years of growing Starbucks, she took the entrepreneurial leap to found Cupcake Royale in 2003, one of the first cupcake bakeries in the US, with a mission to be the most joyful part of your day. She founded The Good Ship. Yeah, but how did the cupcake company go? She founded The Good Ship, a cannabis edibles brand that launched when Washington legalized marijuana in 2014, with a mission to inspire human connection, discovery, wonder, and joy. She had a successful exit in 3 years to Privateer Holdings, a global cannabis titan and the first to take a company public on a US stock exchange. So the cupcake company, we don't know how it did, but the cannabis company did pretty well. She founded Wunderground as the culmination of all she's loved about building great companies, brands, and products, and a full circle return back to coffee. She's the manager of the company since 2020 when we founded. My intention for now. So this company has been alive for about 4 years, right? 3 years to be exact. 2020, 21, 22, 23. No, 4 years. And they're still at this size. That's concerning. Responsibility is CEO, founder, strategy, investor relations, sales, marketing. In the past 3 years, Judy has also continued her role as founder, CEO of Cupcake Royale. So she's still running the cupcake company. Judy spends approximately 5 hours per month guiding this 20-year-old business. And they're adding that there so that you know that she spends most of her time in the coffee business. As an investor, you don't want to invest your money, and then the person that you're investing with is doing a bunch of other stuff. So employer, Cupcake Royale LLC. Dates of service, May 2003 to present. Responsibilities, founder, CEO, advising, operating team and strategy. Named Greg Bullington. Greg is a board member of Better Science LLC and plays a key role in guiding company strategy, investment strategy, and involvement. Now, we saw from the beginning that they have five employees in Better Science. So they have her as a manager. They don't have large teams then, right? They've raised almost $5 million so far. They have a very tight team. So where did a bunch of that money go to? R&D, probably manufacturing, which is arguably a good place to put the money in. Greg Bullington is a board member of Better Science LLC and plays a key role in guiding company strategy, investment strategy, and involvement with key decisions to grow, scale, and build enterprise value. Greg is also CEO, co-founder, and member of Magnolia Medical Technologies, Inc. Greg has led all aspects of company development since inception, including clinical trial, design, execution, and publication. So Greg also has a second job. He's very experienced, but Greg has a second job where he's the CEO. Greg began his career in professional services with Deloitte and Touche, LLP. He continued his professional development as a management consultant at Lake Partners, a Seattle-based strategy consulting firm. Over the past 22 years, Greg has led engagements and worked closely with senior executive teams at over 50 companies, ranging from Fortune 100 corporations to venture-backed and early-stage companies as a consultant, advisor, and investor. Additionally, Greg has significant intellectual property expertise. He's the first named inventor on more than 100 issued patents, as well as over 50 pending US and international patent applications. Greg is a director. Position, dates of service, January 21 to present. Responsibilities, board member, guiding company strategy, investment strategy, and all of that. So he's a board member. Okay, he's a board member, has a full-time job. So right now, the person working for the company that we know is the manager here, Jody. So let's go to the next. That's about it. So risk factors, the SEC requires the company to identify risks that are specific to its business and its financial condition. So what they've identified here in this paragraph is that the company has all the risks associated with economic downturns, but they're also an early stage company that has more risk, uncertain risk. An investment in Better Science and a Wunderground Coffee, CF SPV LLC, involves a high degree of risk and should only be considered by those who can afford the loss of their entire investment. So that's for all startups generally. Furthermore, the purchase of any of the shares and ultimately the use of your investment to purchase a convertible note should only be undertaken by persons whose financial resources are sufficient to enable them. That's all notes. That's not something unique about the business itself. What risks do you face specifically as a company? So their projections are only projections. This is boilerplate as well. Valuation is difficult. The transferability of the securities you're buying is limited. Yeah, by the way, all shares that you buy through regulation CF are restricted shares, meaning that you cannot resell them in a secondary market right away. Even more so, this is an LLC, so before you can do kind of a share transfer, you would have to convert to a corporation, except if like one of those limited cases broker-dealer companies that allow you to sell within each other. But even then, you're only going to be able to sell to an accredited investor. So you can see that right here, right? You'll only be able to sell to an accredited investor. So, an accredited investor, I have an article about this on my website. I'll include a link in the description. But it's basically the most relevant definition for you that are watching on average would be an accredited investor. One of the most important definitions is an investor who makes $200,000, who has made $200,000 in the last 2 years and expects to make $200,000 this year as well, right? Or you have $1 million in net worth without including your primary residence, the residence you live in. That's what an accredited investor is. So if you're an accredited investor, you can do regulation crowdfunding offering. You can buy from regulation crowdfunding offerings. You can also invest as an angel investor. You can invest as part of a venture capital firm. There are many ways you can invest. But if you're non-accredited, meaning you don't make up to $200K per year or have $1 million in assets, then regulation crowdfunding is one way you can invest. Regulation A is another way you can invest. So you have different websites that have these different kinds of offerings. Your investment could be illiquid for a long time. That's expected. These are shares that you tend to hold for a long time. And for tax benefits as well, again, this is not legal advice, but for tax benefits, you tend to need to hold these for a long time so that when you sell them, you get a better tax treatment than you would if you just bought and sold them shortly. And then it says here that the company is offering investment in the amount up to $750,000 and may close on any investment that are made. Even if the maximum amount is raised, the company may need additional funds in the future. And if it cannot raise those funds for whatever reason, including reasons relating to the company itself or the broader economy, it may not survive. This is true. These kind of companies tend to need a lot of money, especially where manufacturing is involved. Now, she's a former Starbucks executive that also has other former startup executives on the board of her company. The chances that she'll be able to raise money are high, but it's not guaranteed. And that's what they're saying here. We may not have enough capital as they may be required to raise more capital. They will definitely be required to raise more capital in the future. They've already raised almost $5 million at this point. The terms of subsequent finances may adversely impact your investments. It will dilute the stock. So if you're investing right now, when future investors come in, the money they put into the company will dilute your stock. It will reduce the value of the stock that you have, almost by definition, right? Because what typically happens is when new investors come, the company will issue more shares. They won't sell the shares that you own. They'll issue more shares in addition to the shares that already exist in the company. So the shares that already exist in the company will be diluted in value. The value of each one will decrease. So let's say the shares you owned before converted to 10% of the company. But when they issue more shares in addition to what already exists, your 10% will probably go down to the proportional amount to go down to 5%, depending on how much money they've taken in and how many additional shares they've issued. And here they're saying there are things we plan to use the money for, but we may also decide to use the money for something else if it's more important to do. projections looking forward information. Any projections or forward-looking statements regarding our anticipated financial or operational performance are hypothetical and are based on management's best estimate of the probable results of our operations and will not have been reviewed by our independent accountants. Those projections will be based on assumptions which management believes are reasonable. So the projections they've made are based on their thinking, not based on an external party. The shares that you're buying will have no voting rights attached to them. This means you have no right in dictating how the company will run. You're trusting in the management's discretion in making good business decisions that will grow your investment. So you're taking a risk. You're trusting that management will make the best decision for the company. This is just reiterating what was said. Insufficient funds. The company might not sell enough securities in this offering to meet its operating needs and fulfill its plan, in which case it will cease operating and you will get nothing. Even if we sell all the investment we're offering now, the company will possibly need to raise more funds in the future, and if it can't get them, we will fail. Even if we do make a successful offering in the future, the terms of that offering might result in investment being worth less because later investors might get better terms. Later investors will get better terms, especially if they're venture capitalists. They'll negotiate better terms. And we might have the right to extend the offering deadline and to end the offering early. We have the right to do so. The company may extend the offering deadline beyond what is currently stated. They've done that once before. And so they're saying they have the right to do it again. We face significant market competition. Significance is an understatement. We will compete with larger established companies who may have much better financial means in marketing, sales, and human resources than we do. They may succeed in developing and marketing competing equivalent products earlier than us, or superior products than those developed by us. There can be no assurance our products will be preferred to any existing or new products. It should further be assumed that competition will intensify. This is true. We're an early stage company and have not yet generated profits. That's clear. Our trademark, copyrights, and other intellectual property could be unenforceable or ineffective. The cost of enforcing our trademark and copyrights could prevent us from enforcing them. That's true. The loss of one or more of our key personnel or our failure to attract and retain other highly qualified personnel in the future could harm our business. We rely on third parties to provide essential services to the success of our business. The company is dependent on its management and founders to execute the business plan. The company's bank account will not be fully insured. There is no assurance the company will be able to pay distributions to shareholders. The shares in this offering is not registered and have restrictions on transfer. They've stated that already before. They've stated that as well, that there's no market for the company shares. The management of the company has broad discretion in application of proceeds. So it's like they're repeating a few of these. The business may be affected by economic conditions already stated. Management officers, directors, and shareholders have conflict of interest, and affiliated companies that will do business with company. So the management and our executives may own, control, or manage other companies or businesses that may do business with the company. Contracts with such affiliated companies have inherent conflict of interest, and such agreements will not have been the result of arm's length negotiation or third-party bidding. Certain members of management have interest in other companies that will or may do business with the company. I think Jody Hall herself has a company that is selling the land or leasing out the land or the building that their first initial coffee store is based in. So that's a conflict of interest right there. So this is the present ownership of the company. The following table sets forth information regarding beneficial ownership of Better Science LLC, holders of 20% or more of any class of voting securities, as well as officers, directors, and managers. So Jody, the full-time person, has 69% of the company. And Greg, the board member, has 1.2%. And then other unit holders have 29% of the company. They have issued a total of 10 million shares, which is typical. In addition to, and in some cases as a part of equity set out above, certain individuals and entities who are, in some cases, employees, contractors, service providers, and others, have been granted restricted units, which is like restricted stock, or profit interest, which are various conversion clauses and profit provisions. So do we see what that would look like fully diluted? Meaning that if you take into account all the shares that are promised, that have been signed or promised to employees, what would the percentage ownership look like? But she clearly still owns about 70% of the company, which is good at this point. Wunderground LLC has no shareholders and has authorized 75,000 shares, which they will be selling through the regulation crowdfunding. There are no voting rights with the shares that you'll be receiving. So this is actually the important stuff. The stuff they wrote here is just boilerplate stuff about they're a young company, startup company, so there's no guarantee that they will succeed. So you should have that. And they're clearly stating that they're likely not going to. The reason is so that if they fail, no one can sue them saying they never told them that they're likely to fail. The subsequent statements here are then the other interesting things about the company that you may need to know, right? Like what you're buying has no voting rights. It comes with no voting rights. Absent whatever is promised through Delaware law. So you have no voting rights in the SPV itself, right? And then once it converts to better science, you'll have even less voting rights, what they wrote here. And you have no management or control of the company. Be aware of that. You have no control. You're trusting in the team almost 100%. So what it means to be a minority shareholder, as a minority shareholder of Wunderground SPV, you will have limited rights in regards to corporate actions of the company. That's okay. Dilution, you'll be diluted in the future when they're issuing more shares to other people. Your shares are not transferable. They can only be resold in an IPO, in an acquisition, meaning another company buys them or they merge. You can sell it to an accredited investor through a secondary sale, meaning this sale is a primary sale because you're buying directly from the company. If you were to then, you as an individual sell to another individual, you're restricted to only selling to an accredited investor. And to a member of the family of the purchaser or the equivalent to a trust, family of the purchaser, meaning to your own family, you can sell to a trust controlled by the purchaser. So you can transfer the shares to a trust that you control or a trust created for the benefit of a family member. So here's where they state that they disclosed that they had raised $3.4 million in February 2021 to launch the company. And then they raised an additional 1.4 million. Excuse me. So in total, they've raised about 4.8 million, almost $5 million so far. And they spent a bunch of that money in R&D. Team members, they have like one employee or two. Except if they're referring to the coffee store that they have, they've likely used that money to pay the employees there. And product innovation. Financial condition and results of operations. Let's see, you should read the following discussion and analysis of financial condition. Statements other than the statements of historical facts, including this offering statement and its exhibits, will or may occur in the future. So let's scroll onto the financial statements itself. Exhibit B. So presently, without any revenue, they can operate for 8 months, but they do have some revenue, so they think they can operate longer. Foreseeable major expenses. Foreseeable major expenses are predicated on raising capital in this offering. Therefore, no major capital expenditures will be made unless the offering is successful. If it is successful, capital expenditures will be made to increase production capabilities in an amount that is relative to the capital raised. So they'll need to scale operations in order to meet the demand they have from these tech companies. The operational challenges we face are primarily production related. Given massive demand for certain products, we need to seek co-packers that can meet our growing production demand. Okay, so let's take a look at the financials of the company. Okay, before we do that, they say that their next milestone is to attempt to secure purchase in orders from tech companies for up to 2.3 million units of their ready-to-drink products in 2024, and other products to support their break room benefits, and to secure a U.S. airline to carry brainwash sticks and or ready-to-drink products in flight and in lounges in 2024. So this year they're focused on tech companies and airlines. So that's mostly where your money is going to go to as well. So let's scroll down to see what Exhibit B is. Now, all of this is still important for you to read if you want to, but I'm looking for the things that most people will be interested in knowing before they pull the trigger. Okay, so remember I said that the manager, Jody, has a company that she's leasing space to Better Science. This is where they disclose that. The name of the entity is called Verity Ventures Holdings. Founder Jody Ho controls it, and it is a wholly owned subsidiary of Better Science. So they loaned $500,000. Verity also loaned $500,000 to Wunderground Retail Cap Hill LLC, which is the company that runs the cafe that they have in Seattle, not the one in the airport, the physical one that they have elsewhere. So basically she loaned her company some money to launch with, and that loan will need to be paid back at some point. Okay, but so it comes with interest, but it's only to be paid back when the company is profitable or there's a liquidity event, they're acquired, there's an IPO or anything like that. Yeah, this is the pre-money valuation of the SPV is 750 million. They're only calculating this because they're trying to because they're trying to raise $750,000 and they're charging $10 a piece or so. So this number is totally made up. What will they use the money for? If they raise all 750,000, then 25% will go to building the team, and 75% will go into filling inventory and operational expenses, guessing from the order from the tech companies. If they raise less than that, so if they raise only 25 grand, then the whole thing will go into fulfilling inventory and then operational expenses. They remind you that they have latitude on what to do with the money as well. So let's go down to the interesting stuff. So here's the summary with all of this. The summary is that it's a very risky business, and this applies to all Regulation CF businesses you're going to look at. It's a very risky business. That's one. Two, they have full discretion as to what they will spend the money on. So yes, this is what they're saying they want to do, but if something else comes up, they'll move the money there. Three, there's no guarantee that you're going to get anything back for your money. In fact, assume that the company will fail. So whatever you're putting into the company is what you know you can lose if the company fails. That's three. Four, there's a lot of risks that come with the company, including the fact that they have a small team. They have competitors in a terribly competitive industry, which is the coffee business. So there's a high chance they're going to fail. All of that isn't the reason why you shouldn't. And with the reason why you should is the fact that it's a Starbucks team, a team made of former startup executives. It's with people who as such have experience in the industry. It's with, the investment is pretty low at $250 minimum, but the upside can be pretty high if the company grows and it IPOs. And then the product, which I haven't tasted, so I can't say anything about that. But that's about the things that you have to consider. And they just used a bunch of pages to say all of that. So here they describe the investing process. I'll allow you to take a look at that on your own time. So let's take a look at Exhibit B, which has the financial statements. They have 1.3 million in total assets, less than they did in 2021. They have 4.4 million in liabilities, which is high, so they're in the red. And here we see some other information. So payroll for them is $600,000. We don't know how much Judy is getting paid personally, and whether this includes payroll for the sub-entities, but it says here Better Science LLC, so I'm guessing this is for the LLC itself. So probably Judy's paying other people as well in the company, or she's paying herself about this or slightly less than this per year. So net operating income loss, 1.26 million was what they lost that year, and net loss 1.2 million. So if we scroll down, we see still Better Science. So their balance sheet membership interest 000 for 2021 and 2022. So this is January 1st, December 2023. I think this would be higher though. Retained earnings deficit. All right, let's scroll down. This is cash flow. The 1.2 million loss there. Let's scroll down. The nature of operations. The company operates a coffee cafe in the Capitol Hill area of Seattle through its wholly owned subsidiary. Okay. Better Science wholly owns membership interest in Wunderground Retail. So are they putting the financial expenses from Wunderground Retail on their books, or do they have separate books for Wunderground Retail? This is how they've made their accounting decisions. I love that there. So what we're seeing here is actually stuff that we'll see in most tech companies, which is they're in the red. They're not making any profits yet. They have $1 million plus in losses. And that's likely going to continue even after the investment that you make. So overall, this all comes down to how much do you trust the founding team? How much do you trust the product? Personally, for startups, for anything really, I like to love the product before I invest in any way. This also applies to stock. The challenge here is that it's coffee. So the good thing is you could literally go online right now if you're interested and make a purchase of their coffee and try it. And maybe if you try it, you'll like something there, and then you'll know whether or not you should invest. So they have a bundle here for $60. If not, you could buy each individual one for about $20 to $25 a piece, and even up to $15, $16 a piece for the coffee and the teas. So you are able to try this if you love the product. See, if I tasted the product and I love it, with the management team that they have on board, then this will be a slam dunk because, you know, they have a fighting chance of succeeding. But I haven't tested the product, so I am kind of 50-50, and not 50-50 in a way that I'll likely pull the trigger on this investment. But again, review the submission again. This has been a long video and the documents are long. Review them again, see if there's anything that catches your eye, if there's anything you are interested in or you found very captivating that's made you believe in the company and its chance of success. If any such thing exists, pull the trigger and go ahead and purchase. But if it doesn't, listen to your gut on this. But overall, again, I'd like to try the product first. I admire the founding team that they have. They've been in existence since 2020, 2021. So they've been here for about 3 to 4 years. It's a long time to have a company that's still raising this amount of money at this level and has not scaled further than this. Maybe I'm looking at this from a tech company point of view where they tend to scale quickly and develop rather fast compared to brick and mortar companies that have to do it more strategically. They have to grow slower because there's more that goes into the expansion. They're not scaling software. But it seems to be growing rather slowly. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.